Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining CANHR's Town Hall on COVID scams. Our senior staff attorney and scam expert, Prescott will be presenting today. He will do a presentation for about 15 minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments. So some quick housekeeping. Please keep yourselves on mute. And then once we're ready for questions, please raise your hand or type your question into the chat box and we'll get to you as soon as possible. Okay, Prescott, I will show your slides and turn it over to you.
Pauline, first of all, thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks to everybody that is tuning in here to the CANHR's Town Hall on COVID scams. Today I'll be talking about various COVID scam scenarios, and after this short overview, I'll be answering questions that you can post on the Zoom chat or if you raise your hand. There will also be an opportunity for some of you to share your observations and ideas for protecting seniors from financial elder abuse. So during this pandemic, scams targeting seniors are increasing at an alarming rate. Criminals have latched on to COVID-19 as a way to steal money. In this town hall, first we will quickly go through some slides on several of these scenarios where the con artists are using the fear of COVID as a pretext, as a hook for financially abusing the seniors. And then these slides will be telling you about the scam. They'll tell you where to go for help if you've been victimized. And again, after the short presentation, we're hoping to hear from you. So use that chat feature on Zoom to ask questions and to tell us what you may have experienced or about some of your ideas that could be really helpful in the fight to protect elders against financial abuse. Our time is limited. We won't be able to get to all of your questions or suggestions. So please note that if we're not able to get to your question, if you'd like more information, then you can contact me or others at CANHR, and we'll do our best to respond. So Pauline, can we have the next slide? COVID-19 charitable donations. This is something that, of course, you have to really watch out for because the fraudsters will contact you pretending to be from a reputable charitable organization. They'll be requesting donations for cures or support for COVID-19 victims. Everybody wants to do something for other people, but watch out because this is a real hot topic. Next slide, please. If you're hearing about a charity and you want to find out more about a charity, then there's a couple of great websites to look at. There's CharityWatch.org, there's Give.org, there's CharityNavigator.org. And by the way, don't worry about trying to write down everything you see on these slides. We will be posting on the CANHR website this presentation, so you'll have everything there. So just know that there are sites that you can check out to find out whether or not the charity that you think might be a good one is actually legitimate. Slide, please. Watch out for the online selling of overpriced or even harmful COVID-19 supplies. Fraudsters will pretend to be selling COVID-resistant masks, gloves, and other personal protection equipment, or even proven cures or vaccines. If you get involved with that, you might be overpaying or actually might even be receiving nothing of value, or even worse, you could possibly be getting something that could be harmful to you. So be very, very careful on any of these online offers. Next slide. So you know that if you do run into one of these online vendors and you think it's a fake, there is a website that you can go to get information on what you can do to report what you've seen. And incidentally, when you see these websites, anything .gov, these are government websites. So if you go onto stopfakes.gov, it'll take you to an online port where you can report these vendors. Next slide, please. Here's the big thing. identity theft. On and on and on it goes. And the COVID-19 is just another opportunity to get you or to get a senior to give up some of their personal information. And from there, they can cause quite a bit of damage. Next slide, please. So, well, here's where you would go if you have been a victim of identity theft. You can see it's identitytheft.gov.gov. This is where you would report identity theft. And also you're going to need to get a recovery plan, because once your identity has been compromised, you have to do whatever you can to bring everything back, because the predators are using your identity, and you are being prohibited from doing other things like making purchases. Your credit could be ruined. So know to go to identity.gov. Next slide, please. Well, we've all heard about the stimulus checks. Some of you got them, not everybody did, but this is another great opportunity for the predator. They can call you up and they can tell you that you're eligible for the economic stimulus check. They can say that in order to get it, if you haven't gotten it, then you're going to need to verify your Social Security number, and they're going to ask you for other personal information. They're going to say that once you give them the information, you'll have that check on the way. Even if you got a check, they might even say there's another check coming. So don't give up any information. If somebody calls you telling you they need your Social Security number in order to process your COVID-19 economic stimulus check. Next slide, please. And know this too, these checks are coming from the IRS. And on the IRS website, there again, you see that .gov, they have a portal that says, get my payment, frequently asked questions. If you have questions about that stimulus check, then this is where you would go. These are automatic payments. They're automatic, so you don't have to do anything in order to get it. If you haven't got it, then you can contact them and work it out directly with the IRS. But basically, there's no further action needed. Somebody's calling you up to tell you about a check. It's probably bogus, so protect yourself. Next slide, please. Social Security checks. Over and over again, you'll hear, don't give out your Social Security numbers, because they can do a lot of damage with that. They can open up accounts. They can create new credit cards. Don't give it out. And know this too, Social Security cannot resolve these problems. That's not what they do. If you give out your Social Security number, then Social Security cannot help you. So you have to go back to the other concept of going to find out how to repair your credit. Next slide, please. Medicare card. That's another portal for the fraudsters. They'll try to contact you, say that your Medicare benefit does not automatically cover COVID-19, which is of course not true. They'll say to make sure that you're eligible, you'll need to verify your Medicare number. And once they have this information, they can use it for a whole variety of things. And interestingly, they can actually even bill Medicare for services or equipment that you never get. So never give out your Medicare card information over the phone or anywhere else. Next slide. This is something that is a little heartbreaking, the COVID-19 tracking and tracing scams. You can be contacted by somebody saying that they are from maybe the county health department, FEMA, or some other government agency. And they're going to tell you that they need your email and other personal information so you can be immediately contacted if someone near you tests positive for COVID-19. Again and again and again, never give out your personal information over the phone. If they're doing tracing, it's they're going to contact you to tell you that somebody might have been contacted, but don't give out any of your Social Security numbers, Medicare numbers, or any other personal information. Next slide, please. If you've been suspected, if you suspect that you've been a victim of a scam, there's the Elder Care Locator. It's a public service of the U.S. Administration on Aging. There's the 800 number, there's the email number, and again, we'll post this for you. We're putting these slides up to let you know that if you've been a victim or if you suspect that there's something going on, this is the way you navigate to, help the people that should be cracking down on these predators, get more information, and if you've been a victim, they can try to help you to repair as much as they can. Next slide, please. And a little handy tip is you should have your phone numbers of the resources that you need to contact should you become a victim of a scam nearby. This includes the police, credit card companies, and your bank. If your money has been taken from you, you've got to get contacting these entities as quickly as possible in order for them to put a stop to any transaction that's being made by the predator. Next slide, please. Responding to COVID-19 emails, you may be contacted by somebody saying they're from, you have to be suspicious of these emails. And fraudsters they're clever, and they can design realistic but fake email headers. And if they entice you to get into the email or open up something, it could really cause a lot of damage. And the best way to have a precaution is not to open up any emails that you're not familiar with. If it looks like something that you are interested in, then go to an official website of the entity. Don't respond to the email. Go on to look for the homepage of the actual company or organization and work from there, because the predators will put up a phony site to entice you to come in, and from there they can cause you quite a bit of damage. Next slide, please. The mobile apps, you might be tempted to download an app that gives information about up-to-the-moment information about the COVID-19, but beware of this. You might end up downloading malware or some kind of cell phone virus that can steal your personal information or damage your mobile device. Next slide, please. This is where you report it, of course, the Federal Trade Commission. And if you get any kind of an email fake scam or an app scam, then contact the Federal Trade Commission. Next slide, please. Reverse mortgage alerts. HUD, which is the Housing Urban Development Office. This is where reverse mortgages are they're really involved with these. They've issued a bulletin warning seniors about problems with reverse mortgages. What we're seeing is a real problem with everybody needs money, and seniors, of course, that have homes, they're sitting on a lot of equity. Next slide, please. And they're trying to encourage seniors to be prudent and to take out a line of credit, just in case you need extra money. We'll get a line of credit, so if you need cash, you've got it. It's ready there. Just pull it out as you need it. But what we're trying to tell seniors about is that there's a lot of cost associated with setting up a reverse mortgage. And there's an ongoing interest rate and charges that become part of the loan. And these continually accrue interest and debt. Next slide, please. So this is it. If you get a reverse mortgage and you haven't taken a dime out, you just want to set up your chance to have a line of credit. Well, in order to get the line of credit, you have to establish the loan. And so when you establish the loan, it's a big deal, it's a big process, and it costs a lot of money. This is before you get a nickel out of the equity of your home. You're going to have to get a counseling fee paid, that's $125. Your house has to be appraised. What is the value of the house? It's going to be appraisal cost of $300 to $500. There's insurance that you're going to be responsible for. And the insurance on a reverse mortgage is called the mortgage insurance premium. So if you take out an amount of money, the amount of money you take out, it's going to be, first of all, 2% of that money is going to have to be used to pay for a premium on the insurance. So if you take out $100,000, for instance, it's $2,000 cost. And then every year after that, annually, you're going to owe 0.5% on the total balance of the loan. So that's an ongoing cost, even though you don't realize that these costs are there, they're there. And there's a monthly service fee charge too, even if you don't take anything out, $35, $35. That's not much, but loan origination fee. Remember, to open the loan, there's a cost in and of itself called the loan origination fee, which is $6,000 as the cap. So it's going to be upwards to $6,000 plus other costs like credit checks, title insurance, loan recording. So know that if you just want to open a line of credit, it's going to cost several thousands of dollars. And then once you've done that, that's an amount of money that will continue to compound. Next slide, please. This will show you how much a reverse mortgage compounds. This is how dramatic it is. This was $100,000 and compounding at, in this one, 6%. You see in 10 years, you owe $81,000 plus in interest, plus the original $100,000. That's over a time period where time goes fast. The older you get, the faster times go. And so if you're 62 years old, getting a reverse mortgage, by the time you're 72, if you take $100,000 out, you owe $181,000, and that's a lot of money. So these are loans, they're expensive loans. They have to be expensive because the lender doesn't get the money back or anything back until after the individual passes away or leaves the home or sells the home. So it's a loan and it's expensive. Don't use it as something in your back pocket. If you absolutely need a reverse mortgage, get one. CANHR, next slide, please. CANHR has a lot of information about reverse mortgages, and the Home Equity Protection Program is something that we have put together. It's alternatives to reverse mortgage, for more information about reverse mortgage. So look on our website, or you can contact one of us at CANHR. We can tell you more about that. CANHR has other resources as well. Next slide, please. We have a reverse mortgage booklet. The next slide for consumers. Next slide, please. We have a restitution guide. If someone's been a victim of financial abuse, this guide helps you to know what the criminal system can do for restitution. It also lets you know what civil attorneys can do, what it entails in California for getting a lawsuit against a financial abuser, whether they're a stranger financial abuse, which could be an institution, or a non-stranger, which is the family member, next door neighbor, or a caregiver. This is to help you navigate the system. And that's what CANHR basically is about. CANHR is here to help people navigate the systems. We don't do individual cases. We help you to advocate for yourself or connect you with advocates that really can take care of your particular case. Next slide, please. And we also have for consumers a senior scam alert. And in this little pamphlet, these are other, the typical scams that are going on. Today we talked about the COVID scams. And these are some other scams. There's no end to it. And this is a booklet that we'll be updating over and over again as the years go on. Predators are very, very creative. They have to be. They have to keep moving along. And that's why we wanted to talk to you about the COVID scams. As the predators hone in on this, they're capitalizing, again, on everybody's fear about COVID. And, people need to know, they need information, they need to know what to do, they want to help other people. And so it's heartless in what they're doing, but they're doing it. So be very, very careful out there. Make sure not to respond very quickly to anybody that asks you for money. Take your time. It took you years and years and years to get the money. Don't let it go at a flick of a pen for writing a check, or reciting your credit card number, or clicking a little toggle on your email. Be very careful. So at this time, we'd like to open up for your questions or observations. And know this: you can always contact either myself, or you can see Julie or Efren at CANHR.org, and we're there to help you to navigate the system to answer your particular questions. So right now, please let me know if there's anything that we can do.
Okay, there's a couple of questions in the chat. Let's see. They were wondering if the booklets are available in e-format online at the CANHR site. And yes, they are available for free download on our website. And I believe Efren or Emil provided the link. Does anybody want to raise their hand and ask a question or make a comment or share a story? Someone had a question earlier. You can also unmute yourself if you don't know how to raise your hand.
Shauna and Gabriel here. Thank you, Prescott.
Hello, Shauna.
Hi.
Hello, Mr. G.
Thanks. The reverse mortgage situation is real. Just a friend who was socially distancing and walking by my apartment yesterday said mom wanted to take one out. It seems like everyone's being targeted. What's your recommendation for what I used to call the de-brainwashing? Because a lot of these elders are set on getting reverse mortgages based on what they've heard. And I used to tell them to go talk to a HUD certified counselor, as imperfect as that is. But what are your suggestions now in this new environment? And also because I haven't been doing that in a while.
Well, with the reverse mortgages, I think the first place to start is to say no, and then work your way up from there. There are some very important features in reverse mortgage. It's a really good way for somebody to get money if they're house rich but cash poor, and they have no other alternatives. The first thing is to explore what alternatives are there. And because if you don't need the reverse mortgage, there's no reason to get it. And to be prudent to get a line of credit, I think I've already expressed like that's a bad idea. But if you're in a situation where you have a family member that has money, this is actually a great opportunity for the family member to support the family by giving the senior the money and calculating and keeping track of the money that they're giving through a whole system. Actually, that's part of our home equity home equity protection program, is to get the family involved. And as they're lending money to the senior, they're recording that. And then in the eventuality where the senior passes away or sells the home, moves off, then when the house is sold, they get the money back plus interest. That's all worked out. In this way, it's actually the best savings program an individual can have, because if there's equity in the home, then they're assured of when the house gets sold to have their money back that they've given to their parent or to their relative or the loved one. And that's a good way to do it. And if they're an heir or would-be heir, they're going to actually end up inheriting more, because if you have to go to a third party for a loan, it's going to be very expensive. With that chart, you see with the interest rate, the compounding interest rate, that there'll be actually, in some cases, nothing left because the interest is eating up everything. So it's better to borrow from the relative. There's another aspect of the reverse mortgage that seniors need to be very, very aware of. And that is that there's ongoing financial obligations. Failure to meet those obligations will result in a foreclosure. If you don't pay for your property taxes, if you don't pay for that insurance we talked about, or maintain the home, then what ends up happening is the house goes into default and then into foreclosure. Today, there's something like 15% of all the reverse mortgages are in default. I mean, think about it. What product out there on the market has a failure rate that's high? And where the seniors get into trouble is they think, because they're told through these infomercials and the general information out there, that there's nothing to worry about because the money is yours. You reach in, it's like a pot of gold. It's just yours, nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about. But in fact, there's a lot to worry about, because if they don't pay their property taxes, don't keep up with that insurance, or maintain the home, with what's going on here, like, think about what's in Florida, these hurricanes. If there's water damage, if we have earthquakes here, if there's damage to the home and you don't have the money to repair it and you have a reverse mortgage, you're in default. You can't repair, you're in default. So, our advice to seniors ultimately is get as much information. You've been brainwashed. That's a good thing that you brought up, because they've heard over and over and over again, nothing but the positives. There's negatives, and it's not going to be up to the lender to explain the negatives or to stress the negatives. It's up to the individual to self-educate, because that's that old buyer beware. There's just no sympathy in our culture for somebody that made a bad deal, that suck it up. That's not fair, because they're being inundated with this propaganda about what a wonderful product is. It's a loan. That's all it is, and a complicated loan. It's not a panacea.
Hi, Prescott. We have a two-part question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We have a two-part question. What is the general willingness of reverse mortgage lenders to work only with the senior's agent under a POA to arrange the reverse mortgage, provide counseling, and the like? And then he has a follow-up question after that.
Well, that's one I haven't heard. That's a really interesting question. And I hope you give me your name and number. I'd like to really get back to you on that. I have some thoughts about it. Certainly with the POA, you're going to have to really establish that the POA is actually in effect. I mean, to have a durable power of attorney sitting as a document, that's one thing, but it's not in, you can't use it unless the individual has actually been deemed to be lack capacity or something. So when you walk in with a POA and it requires one or two doctors to say that you've lost capacity, there better be some documentation for some medical records. Otherwise, you have a fiduciary, or you have a problem, and that can be possibly financial abuse. I mean, it's one thing, you just can't walk in and say, I've got this document, let's start the dance. It has to be really in effect. But I'd like to talk about that more. What's the second part of the question?
Can the senior draw on the reverse mortgage to pay the property taxes?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a set aside. When you get a reverse mortgage, there is counseling. If you get one of these HECM counseling, which is a requirement for a HECM loan, and they'll explain what to do. But yeah, you can pull money out to pay the property taxes, and you can pull money out to pay for anything that you want. But know this as well, With a reverse mortgage, let's say you have a house that has a market value of $500,000. You don't get all $500,000. You get a percentage, you get a portion of what your market value is, and the rest of it is just a cushion where the interest is going to compound. So like if you had a house that had a market value, just make it up of $350,000, and you're about 65 years of age, the most you get out of that is probably the right to take out $160,000 of equity. The rest is sitting there. It's just equity that is going to be used to, as the interest accrues, to protect the lender so they get repaid back when you pass away or move out of the house.
Okay. Another part of that question, actually it was 3 parts. With an intra-family reverse mortgage simulated loan, do you know whether the family lender will be obliged to comply with the truth in lending disclosures?
No, I doubt that. What it is, it's it's a contract that the families would develop. These aren't commercial lenders. These are family members that would get together and protect themselves with a contract and like a promissory note, and they would record that. For more information, by the way, on that, go online to the CANHR website. Look at the section that says HEP, Home Equity Protection Program, and it's all there. Basically, to let you know, we got a grant from the state bar to put this program together. Everything there is a template. It's free to everybody to use. And so download that information. We have a guide that will help you understand what that is. Look at the information and then take it to either an estate planning attorney or actually to a CPA to help you develop your own. But no, it's not where you have truth in lending because it's just a family arrangement and it's a contract. So I hope that helps.
Another question, if reverse mortgages are expensive and complex, what might be the advantage of one?
The advantage is if you have no other resource, and nobody else is out there is going to help you, this is a lifeline, okay? One of the things that we're worried about is, again, you've seen how expensive they are. The reverse mortgage industry is actually going to talk to financial advisors to get them to push reverse mortgages. You have annuity people out there who want to sell annuities, and what they'll do is they'll try to get a senior to pull out equity in order to buy an annuity. And that they have this thing called the Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo is this system that they are talking about where, let's say you have a lot of money. You don't need a reverse mortgage, but you have a lot of money, you have a lot of stocks, okay? So the stock market, let's say it's not doing well. It's not a good time to sell your stocks. So they're advising you to get a reverse mortgage to pull money out to live on. When the stocks go up, you sell a couple of stocks to pay off the reverse mortgage. Well, that's actually ludicrous because the money you pull out of reverse mortgage is, as you've seen, compounding interest. And really, what financial product is going to produce interest and income at a higher rate than the interest and the debt you're accruing, the reverse mortgage? Nevertheless, they're looking at seniors, they're trying to push this. So the message that we want to put out there, get a reverse mortgage if you absolutely need the money to survive. You have absolutely no other options. Because first and foremost, remember, it's just a loan. It's not magic.
Okay, and I'm wondering if people are having problems unmuting themselves. So we're going to unmute everyone. And if you don't have a question, try to be quiet so we can hear the question. But we're going to try that and see if that helps facilitate this discussion better. So everyone is unmuted. Okay, does anyone have a question or comment?
Hello?
Yes.
I got a call from Capital One I've had it before, and they left a message on my phone machine. And I don't think I have a Capital One credit card.
Wow.
That
I
is
would
why
say
I'm asking
don't
you
answer that one.
Just ignore it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank-
Yeah.
It,
Can I make
you know,
a comment on that Capital One situation? This is Elise Anderson from Bedzedec. Each individual has the opportunity to get a credit report every year. So if you're getting information from an organization that you don't do business with, you may check your credit report and make sure that there's nothing extra on there as well, just to be sure. You can get that for free
Oh,
from credit
Okay.
bureaus.
I don't
Uh-huh.
use
And-
my credit
and
card
so
that much.
how many
Thank you.
guests you have in Win 100? Or you
So
have nobody
So
also?
even if
No
you
guest?
don't use your credit card, it probably is a good idea to check the credit report, like Elisa mentioned, to make sure no
Uh-huh.
one else has opened credit cards in your name.
Oh, I'm going to email them, get on the email. I'm
Right,
not going to call the number back she left.
right. Another good thing to try is if you get a call from someone, you may want to look up don't talk to that person, but look up the actual number and call the company directly to make sure it's legitimate, because there are caller ID can sometimes seem like it's from the company, but that could be fake as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thought. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll work on that.
yes. And nothing to know too, if in the past, if you've ever been financially abused, your name gets passed around. So it's never,
Oh, that sucker.
you know, it's just imperative to know that you pass your name around, and you'll be hit and hit and hit again. There's no end to it.
Well, you know, I never used to get all these cries for money, but once I gave to one organization, now I get all this junk mail.
See how it goes? Yep. You become one of the most favorite of all. Yeah, we hear again and again, somebody who's been financially abused by one scam, then they'll be hit again and again and again. It's very important too, for everybody to think about. Somebody mentioned the durable power of attorney. Everybody should have one. And if you don't have a durable power of attorney, it's really imperative that you go and find to get one. Talk to estate planning attorney, or you can actually get this thing downloaded. Actually, call CANHR. We can give you more information. But if you're over 18, you really need to have a backup. Should you become incompetent, or like the proverbial bus hits you, and you're in a coma or something, you need to have somebody to be able to make decisions for you. And you want to be able to choose the person that you want to make these decisions, somebody that's trusted. And by the way, it should be somebody that's younger than you are as well. So who would be there to help advocate for you, to help you maintain everything that you need to maintain when you're not capable of doing it yourself. Failure to do that is going to have you end up either being conserved, or the public guardian stepping in and being the conservator. It's a big mess. Don't do that. So think about that and get that done ahead of time. Also, contact your bank. And with your bank, it's prudent to do this. Tell them that if there's suspicious activity, even if you've done something that is not like your typical way of banking, such as pulling out $10,000 at a time, you want to contact somebody, the bank to contact somebody to be able to look into this to help you. We are an aging society, and as we age, we actually lose an ability to be as cognitively capable as we wish we were, or at least as we used to be. There's a lot of interesting brain studies out there. One called the orbital cortex real-life decision-making and normal aging, where they show that through the normal aging process, the orbital cortex, which is the front part of the brain, this is where you do your executory functions, where you form intent, it actually loses its dominance. And then what ends up happening is the brain does what it's supposed to do, keeps on making decisions, but it uses an older part of the brain, the amygdala, where you're making emotional decisions. And this study that I just mentioned says that 35–40% of seniors are actually making decisions the same way people with traumatic brain injury makes decisions. It's reward, it's repetition, it's emotion. And incidentally, that's why reverse mortgages are being sold as an emotional purchase. They get you excited. You know, you're making that wonderful, that leap. It's very emotional, and that's why when Shauna Reeves brought up, what do you do to talk somebody down? It's an emotional decision to get a reverse mortgage, because that's where the thought really comes from. And so the way to talk them down is to get to the emotional part, and really, I hate to say it, but bring up the negatives of reverse mortgages, so at least you will neutralize the enthusiasm that you have for the product.
I'd also like to add that CANHR has a lawyer referral service. So if somebody does want a referral to an estate planning attorney to set up a power of attorney, you can call us at our 1-800 hotline, 1-800-474-1116, and you can ask to speak with an advocate who can do an intake, and then we can look at referring you to an attorney if needed.
Yes, and incidentally, the legal, contact your legal services. Every county really has access to legal services. Get to know what their resources are, and if you need help and can't afford an attorney, that's their mission is to be as helpful as possible.
Were there any, did you cover any of the PACE scams that were happening?
Didn't mention that, but here's something else to watch out for as we're all sitting in our homes wondering, when this pandemic will let us get out and be out and about. We are still being approached by companies, contractors that are saying that there's this wonderful chance to upgrade your property to get it so it's more suitable for the weather, and to have these upgrades where you can get solar panels, or you can get weatherized windows. And this is part of the PACE program, and it's a wonderful concept which allows people to upgrade their property. And how do you pay for it? Well, here's where you've got to watch out. Some contractor comes to you and says, we will do this. It's a government program back. It's a government-backed program. You don't have to pay for anything because I get paid by the county. And this is how it works. Contractor does the work and then submits the bills actually to a finance company. The finance company pays the contractor. Now the finance company in turn turns over that information to the county, and the county pays the finance company. Well, so that means that the county, that was a mistake.
Oh, Alyssa, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so what ends up with the county pays, has paid off the finance company who paid off the contractor. So how's the county get reimbursed? They raise your taxes. They raise your property tax. And it's a pretty good way to do that if you're, a 30-year-old, who is, going to be in the house for 20, 30 years. But this is a loan that affects your property taxes. So if you have a senior that's been paying, $400 a quarter or something on the taxes, suddenly their taxes go up to $2,000 a month, and they don't have the money to pay the tax, then they are going to default for the property tax, and they're going to default if they have a reverse mortgage on their reverse mortgage, because if you don't pay your property taxes, you're in problem with the reverse mortgage, and if you don't pay the county your property taxes, well, there you go as well. So be very careful with the PACE, and you have to make sure that you're going to be able to, when you look at it, can I afford the property taxes after I get this free upgrade for my new windows or my solar panels? We've heard where some of these PACE program victims have had these contractors come in and put artificial turf, or they'll put in swimming pools, or things that the senior actually doesn't need, doesn't want. Sounds like a good idea, but the property tax is a killer, and they've got big problems.
Alyssa Anderson had a comment.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for bringing up the PACE property assessed clean energy program. So at BedZedek, we have a presentation, a couple of presentations on that. As a matter of fact, we just did a big Zoom presentation about PACE because we are doing a class action suit for PACE victims, as well as starting a PACE virtual clinic forthcoming. So I would love to partner with you guys to get this PACE presentation out there, get the information out there, get people in line with the clinic that's forthcoming. And if there are individuals that need to do an intake with BedZedek for the class action suit, we have those opportunities still available, and we can be contacted at BedZedek with our mainline phone number.
Okay, that is wonderful. And could you tell a little bit more about BedZedek so people understand more about your organization?
So yes, BedZedek is BedZedek Legal Services is a pro bono nonprofit legal organization, primarily in the Jewish community that's been around for over 30, 40 years. We help individuals, seniors, and others with a variety of different programs, one being PACE, elder abuse components, fraud, contract fraud. We have Holocaust services, employment services, tax services, a variety of different things available to individuals in LA County at low cost service or no cost services. And so that's the organization as a whole. So we do a lot of pro bono cases. We work with a lot of other organizations, as with yours, in partnerships and spreading information, pulling cases, and being able to help the individuals in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Marianne Self had a comment. Marianne?
Well, I put it in the chat. Do you see it in the chat?
Yeah, would you like to share with everyone?
Okay, is it the one about Amazon?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have an answering machine on my landline, and there was a message that pretended to be from Amazon. And they said, oh, we're so sorry, we charged you some things that we shouldn't have charged you, and we fixed it, and please give us a call back. And my nephew said, Amazon doesn't do things like that, it's a scam. And anyway, I hadn't had any wrong charges in the first place. So watch out if you get something on a phone call that pretends to be from Amazon, okay?
Wow, that's a new one. Thank you.
So we have allowed everyone to unmute yourself. If the unmute button isn't obvious, you can just press the space bar on your keyboard to unmute yourself and speak. You just have to hold it down while you're speaking.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
What about when I'm a geriatric care manager in LA. This is about my father. He would get requests for donations from Oxfam and a couple other reputable organizations, but he would get them every week or 2 weeks, and he kept sending $50, and it was thousands of dollars.
Yep.
In the end. And so is there is that actually Oxfam or Doctors Without Borders, or is it is there some kind of marketing list that they're kind of hands off? What do you know about that?
Yeah, you might want to, go back on the first slide that we had, talked about the various charities, and you can look them up. And then what it does, it gives you a little bit more detail about them. A lot of the time, the charity, there'll be this administrative cost that they have. And some charities just will have like 80% of the money you give goes to administrative costs. And, so you have to be very careful. And some just, farm out to, these different, groups, companies that actually do the soliciting, and then the solicitors make the money, but then give a portion to the charity. Works for the charity because somebody's making money for them, but the people that are contributing don't realize how much money is actually going to the administrative side. So for somebody that's giving a lot of money to charities, it's good to investigate what is that charity, what portion is actually going to, save the cats or whatever it is. So the individual say, well, maybe it's not really accomplishing what I want.
The issue was just that they kept sending and sending, and it wasn't like, I think he thought it was an annual thing, and he just
well, that's
time.
basically that's predatory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to calm an individual down that's really doing that, except trying to show. It's very difficult to show facts when somebody's making an emotional decision. They're feeling good about what they're doing because it's part of how they view societal virtue by helping others, and that's a good core value, and it's being exploited. And it's hard to tell people you're being exploited, but that's in fact what's going on. So I think the way to counterbalance, if they're doing something emotionally, you've got to come up with an emotional counterbalance to that in order to calm them down. And for people, the real unfortunate thing is when somebody is since you're geriatric, you understand that. But for others, the brain actually can get to a point where it will refuse to admit it's made a mistake. It's called anosognosia. It's clinical. And then with aging, we have clinical issues. The brain just isn't as sharp. And that's just, that's the fortunate thing about living. Because like in the old days, it was easy. You got sick, you were dead in 2 days. Life expectancy was 47. I'm way past my warranty. But, nevertheless, it's out there, and we're a community. The seniors, we're a community. We have to do what we can to work together and to share. There is no shame in being financially abused. I mean, it's just like walking outside. How could you be shamed because the air is so polluted? In California, we're having these fires. It's just how it is. And it's harmful. The air is harmful. Predators are harmful. And, they are professional. And they're great at what they're doing. And the best amateur is no match for the worst professional. This is what they do for a living. If they weren't good at it, they'd be doing something else. They're great at it. You're not going to be able to outthink them. You're not going to be able to outtalk them. And they just don't care. For them, it's just what they do. And, they think about buyer beware. It's a game. It's your fault. You fell for what I said. It's your responsibility. That's the way they're viewing it. And in our society, that's not the right thing. It shouldn't be buyer beware. It should be everybody needs to be doing the right thing. If somebody's a con artist, they shouldn't be doing that. And it's a lot of lecturing, but we're advocates. And, we're advocating for seniors. And if you have a passion for doing something about elder abuse, now is really the time to contact your elected officials. We have in California a group that they're always new. They're always new because of term limitations. They're coming in. They're constantly moving around. And in Sacramento, if they don't hear about this, it does not exist. Everybody in Sacramento, their job is to have bills. They can have 20 to 30 bills a year. And everybody only has a few ideas. So it's what's out there. What do we need to do? And there's no shortage of problems in this world of ours. So the legislators are getting inundated with requests, demands for laws about wonderful things that need to happen for the homeless, for education, for healthcare, on and on and on it goes. If they don't hear from elders about a need for doing something for elder abuse, for them, it's just one less problem to think about. If they don't have to think about it, they're not going to do anything. So if you've been financially abused, there's probably nothing you can do about it except call your legislator and let them know there's a problem. Let them know that they need to do something. Because when CANHR goes to Sacramento, we try to get the legislators interested in financial abuse or abuse or neglect in nursing homes, and they're not hearing it. They have to hear it from the constituents. They have to hear from you. We do what we can, but you have to be in there too. It's time to advocate.
And a reminder to everyone that Isabel Espinoza Montes shared in the chat that people can go through www.annualcreditreport.com, and anyone can request a free credit report for free once a week from each credit reporting agency. And that's a good opportunity for you to see if someone has used identity theft and opened accounts in your name.
That's a wonderful lead. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well, I think we're at the 12 o'clock mark, unless anyone has any last questions, but you can always reach out to CANHR directly and give us a call at our 1-800 hotline, or you can email Prescott or Julie or Efren that was shared on the previous slides. And
So Marianne, it looked like Marianne had another comment.
Oh.
So go ahead, Marianne.
Is your website CANHR.org? Is that correct?
Yes.
C is in cat. C is in cat.
CANHR.org.
Correct.
That's your website.
Right.
Okay. Now, and I didn't get all the websites that were mentioned during this whole session. So how can I get the websites that I missed? I tried to write them down, but I didn't get all of them.
No worries. We actually, Emil will post this on our website. It'll be on our homepage, right, Emil, the link to the slides?
Yes, so I'll post a link to the recording of the video, and also where you can download the slides, and you'll see all the slides and the links and everything.
Okay.
And if you have any trouble, Marianne, just contact me directly and I'll help you with that.
Okay, and do you want to know about another possible scam that I could warn people about?
Yes.
Okay, well, a while back, earlier this month, in August, I accidentally clicked on something which turned out to be a link to a scam. And I want everyone to be careful not to do that, because after I did that, they got my contact list. And then they somehow were able to take over the email address of one of my contacts and pretend I was getting an email from that contact, and it had something to do with an expensive home repair, and they tried to weasel me out of money by saying they needed a big down payment or something. So anyway, I didn't send them any money, but just be careful you don't accidentally give people some way to get to your contact list, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. We're all together here.
Yes, whenever you get an email that says, you're in trouble, click this link to fix your login or something like that. You know, whenever you click on something and then it asks you for your username and password to fix some kind of problem, it's always a scam. The actual companies will not send you a link to mess with the way to get to your account. So whenever you see like that, just go straight to the website of the actual company and go through their account login to check if there's an actual problem. Those links are almost always bad.
Thank you, Emil. And thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you spending the time with us. CANHR is going to have a series of other town halls coming up, and as they say, stay tuned. We're here to help and to help you navigate through all these different things.
Thank you.
Goodbye now.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.